What up, y'all? We're back again with First Time You Realize America Really Messed You Up. This is part two, man, from the TikTok Reacts channel. This is my third reaction to the series, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this overall. And, once again, hopefully, they're detailing some themes or topics that weren't addressed in the prior videos. So like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell. Let's get into it.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
When I was dancing in Australia, I did a jump and landed on the outside of my right foot. I sprained it real bad. And they drove me to a private hospital and I was like panicking. But anyway, that's the one that was available to me at the time. And on my way into the lobby, I was, hobbling on my crutches. And they spotted me from the parking lot. The doctor came out to me before I even was in the building and went back into the hospital and told them that I was coming. In the waiting room, they came into the waiting room to examine my foot. And I never paid a penny.
It's that customer service right there.
So I can make like 200 of these, but I'll just talk about the first time I realized how fucked up the U.S. is, which was the first week that I got to Sweden. When my boyfriend's family told me that I need to make sure I get insured, and that I get insurance for everything I own, my laptop, my bike, my apartment, my whole body. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's so expensive. Like, I'm already super in debt with student loans, so no. But I asked out of curiosity, just like how much it was going to cost. $100 a year to insure everything I have. For reference, like the average American person spends $456 a month just on health insurance. Just for healthcare. That doesn't include cars or home insurance.
Okay, so I'm not currently living abroad, but I did live in Australia for a few months. And one night while I was there, I got a little bit too crazy and I ended up on public transportation without a phone. And I had to find my way back to my apartment and I got lost. And while I got off the tram to get onto a different tram to take me home, a middle-aged gentleman came up to me and I immediately went into attack mode and I was like going to kill him. And he was like, no, I was just going to tell you which tram to take to get back to Preston. And that was when I realized that in Australia, I didn't need to be afraid. Like, granted, take precautions, but I didn't need to be afraid of every man. But in America, I still am.
That's crazy, bro.
Ooh, I've been waiting for this one.
Because this is to that point, I think there's a gender war going on currently, right? To where it's like, men are kind of at a stand, like we're at opposing ends, and there's things women are saying about men, about their nature, that we've seen manifest in the modern era. We've seen it throughout time, right? But in the same sense, how men feel about women, this is a prime example. If a woman's just scared regardless because she lives in the States, to where our law enforcement is up to par, a lot of these certain entities or agencies that are put into play for our protection and our services are pretty much far beyond, right? That's why we're a superpower, far beyond in comparison to other countries. And you're still afraid when you live in such what they call a safe country. That speaks volumes. It's not actually what it is. It's a facade.
I was living in Germany and I had gotten food poisoning after traveling back from a country. And I was so sick. I was not eating, not taking anything. And it had been 4 or 5 days. It was really bad. I was too afraid to go to the hospital, one, because I was afraid I couldn't translate, but two, I just didn't want to deal with everything. But my friend said, no, we have to go. So I went. Tell me why we didn't have to wait on an emergency line. I was in the emergency room looking around. I was like, where do I sign in? Where's the line? Where are all the people? And they're like, no, you can go right in and go sit down. We'll be right with you. And I literally walked straight into the office, straight in. And while I was struggling to explain what was going on, they brought in 5 different doctors of each different one. And it only took them 5 minutes to come each time when they realized they couldn't help me. It was somebody else they needed. And I didn't have to pay anything on top of that.
I'm an American living abroad in Thailand. We've been living here for a year now. So we literally moved here when the pandemic started. My husband had a business trip right before the country closed to Singapore. He came back from Singapore with a fever. So they transported him to a hospital. That hospital, however, didn't have the facilities for full-on quarantine, and so they transported him using an ambulance to another hospital where he was COVID tested and quarantined. Luckily, he tested negative, but he still spent 2 days in the hospital and was transported by ambulance. And so I was thinking the cost was going to be so expensive. The overall cost of it was less than $300, where back in the States, I know it would have been thousands.
Facts.
It's just incredible to me that healthcare is affordable.
So I'm from LA and I moved to Singapore. And before coming here, I asked all my friends if I should bring anything like, a pepper spray just in case anything happens. And they were like, no, that's actually illegal. I don't think that they're allowed to have any kind of weapon. And I was like, what?
Dang.
We literally put them in our keychains as accessories. I was like, how do you defend yourself? They were like, from what? You don't have to. It's so safe. I was like, no way.
Bro, when
So
people
I
say
Googled
stuff
it,
safe
and
though, I
no
don't
one is
believe
allowed
that. Oh, it's safe. You know how people in the 50s and 60s left their doors open, and then that's when the serial killers really emerged, and a lot of them folks died. I mean, there's danger everywhere in the world. But the extremes, you can see the extremes.
to use greater force than necessary to defend themselves. What?
Wow.
The U.S. can't ban guns, but Singapore can ban pepper sprays?
So I didn't realize this until I moved abroad, but Americans have a very strange concept of freedom. When you're growing up, you're always told that America is such an amazing place and, it's the land of the free, home of the brave, but, I keep hearing these criticisms from people oh yeah, but America has the most freedom. Wow, yeah, freedom. I mean, there may be a few exceptions or nuances, but in the UK, you're still free. That is the biggest lie that Americans are ever told, that there aren't other free places. I don't understand. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like the concept is kind of destroying American democracy. How ironic. They need to kind of understand that they need to work on things to make themselves better and more free for their citizens.
So just for a little context, I live in Latvia now, but when this happened to me, I was working in the UK as a bartender. And my coworkers and I were talking about gun violence in the US, and they were kind of making jokes like, oh, I'm surprised you graduated and you didn't get shot first and stuff like that. And I guess I was trying to defend it, so I was saying, it's not as bad as the news makes it seem. I only know one school that had an active shooter and had to go into lockdown. And, for me, I only had one gun threat in high school, and it was just a threat, and one when I was in elementary school. And then my coworkers kind of looked at me like, you what? And you think that's normal? And I was like, yeah, it's not even that bad.
It's normal to us, though. I mean, think about the extremes. You know how many immigrants and the population of America alone, we're a very large place to live. So other places, just think about it. I mean, I think just the complexity, the population size. I'm talking about complexity in terms of cultural variances, different backgrounds, different people. And a lot of the extremism that just exists naturally here automatically puts us on steroids a little bit. It's apples to oranges sometimes. You can't compare the UK to the US. But it's still crazy that one shootout or one school shooting is still on, a person's resume, so to speak. To them, that's a foreign concept. You had one? Oh, my. But if you really think about it, one. And there's a lot of people who haven't experienced any. So it's still a minority, man.
For a couple of weeks. And every single day between 12 and 2, they would always close down. Everything would just close down. And I was just like, what is going on? And they were like, well, we need to go home and have lunch with our family.
Yeah, I love that.
Just enjoy.
They do that in the UK a lot.
And that was when I realized every other country out here really understands the value of spending time with your loved ones and just actually taking a break.
I remember being in the UK and in France, I believe, to where the kids, my cousins would come back. I was spending summers out there, and I think some of them were in like summer school or something. They would come back, and it's just like for a meal. And it's like, I did not get that concept right, because if you having lunch at school, in elementary school in America, you having lunch there. Middle school, you having lunch there. Now, you may have your parents come visit you at lunch, but you being sent home is different.
Except America. America just teaches us to work for labor instead of actually living. So don't procrastinate on your happiness, sis. Your worth is not in labor. It's a luxury. Do what you want to do and be happy.
Oh, I've got a couple. So I'm from Los Angeles and now I live in Austria. And basically when I first started working here, they were like, you get 25 days vacation, Fridays off early, and if you're sick, don't come into work. And I was just like, I was floored. Because in the US, you only get 10 days vacation and like 5 sick days, and
facts.
You don't get fired.
You got to accumulate your PTO. I said PEO.
Days off early. You better work your ass until it's 9 p.m.
Facts. She ain't lying, man. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna cut the video a little bit early, man. We're gonna have this continuation of the series because my laptop actually about to die, man, and my charger is nowhere to be found. So I'm gonna end it on a sweet note, man. Like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell. Let me know y'all stories, man. I want to hear personal stories. These TikTok rants is cool, and majority of these folks still live overseas is the thing. They never ventured back. But I know there's people who live here in America, had their time overseas, but are still here. And kind of that what's y'all's whole ideology about being here? Like, what is y'all's reasoning about it when you've experienced other countries? Obviously benefits there. What is your reason for returning? Comment down below, man. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless. We'll see y'all on the next one. We out.